Photoshop's really useful and essential clone stamp tool. What does it do for you? Take a look at the image in front of you. There's the before clone stamp and there's the after. Once again, before, after. The clone stamp tool lets you borrow pixels from one part of an image and brush them onto another part of an image. It gives you a lot of control. It's a lot of fun and super creative. Let's put it to work. So what I always want to show folks is that before you do anything, if you just click, you get an error message. Feel free to pause and read it. What this error message is saying to us humans is, hey, you haven't sampled a place yet that I'm going to borrow pixels from. I need you to sample first. So what do we have to do? Windows, you're going to hold down the Alt key. Mac, you're going to hold down the Option key and look at my cursor right here. I'm going to click on the clone stamp tool. Look at the cursor. If I hold down the Option key or Alt, it turns into a crosshairs. That's where I'm sampling from. I'm going to hold down Alt or Option, click one time, now let go. I'm going to move the brush over to where I want to paint. And you can see the crosshairs is moving around on the red square, but I'm painting onto the blue square. So it's a great way to borrow pixels. A couple things to be aware of. I'll undo that. If I sample from close to an edge and I start painting, look at where that crosshairs is going. It's going to just show that edge. There's no AI involved here, folks. It is faithfully doing whatever us humans tell it to do. So you have to be thoughtful in where you place your cursor. And you'll see in our demo that I'm often Alt or Option clicking in different places so that I'm getting the pixels that I want. But the key thing to remember is that to sample, you hold down Alt or Option, look at that crosshairs wherever you click. That's what you get. Wherever you brush, it's going to use that crosshairs as the sample. And if I go up to the top edge, check it out, it is faithfully painting the edges of my square. All right, let's switch over to our crosswalk and I'm gonna hide my after layer. I wanna do the demo here. So I'm gonna real quick duplicate my original layer. I'll call this one work 2. They're both the same, right? Before, after, same thing. I'm clicking on the eyeball. But here's the deal. I'm going to get rid of some items that are in my original. Now you can see it's red right now. That's because it's sampling from the other image. I don't want that. So I am going to Alt or Option click again. I'm going to get rid of these 2 yellow painted lines. So sample, brush. Again, I'm going to click from a different spot, sample, brush. Let's do our before and after. Now, it's always a good idea to avoid any kind of repeating pattern. So sometimes I will sample from a different place and just add in some random irregularities to try and make it look less obvious that something was removed. Let us get rid of one of these, I'm going to call them manhole covers, utility covers. This is one where I'm going to have to be a little more careful because check it out. If I click over here too close to the crosswalk and I start painting, I'm getting crosswalk on that. That's not working. So I'm going to Alt or Option click over here, make my brush a little bigger, paying attention so I'm not overlapping with the white crosswalk paint, and then to make this look a little more random, I'll just sample and paint from different locations. All right, let's talk about working with linear patterns because I would like to get rid of this pedestrian in pink. No offense, pedestrian. I'm going to do a Control or Command plus to zoom in. Now check it out. I'm once again going to sample with Alt or Option click. But I have to be really careful because if I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, notice where the crosshairs is catching the edge of that white rectangle. It does that. So I find I have to be really thoughtful, and I will Alt or Option click on the line, and then in my preview circle, I'm lining them up as best I can and sliding back and forth. But look, I slid too far and I duplicated the image. So I need to undo that, and I'm going to start way over here, Alt or Option click, line up my edge, do my best to move left, right, so my cursor or crosshairs never overlaps the pedestrian. There's a little bit of a leftover shadow from where the pedestrian was, so let's get rid of that. And once again, I'm sampling from different parts of the pavement just to try and blend better. Last stop, friends. If you look at the area where the pedestrian was, there's a scratch in the pavement. It's duplicated from the original spot that I'm hovering over. The human eye is really good at recognizing patterns. So to add a little more realism to this, I want to take some texture and pixels from a different part of the image. I don't like the patterning. So I'm going to Option click over here, brush that away. This curve right here is also a duplicate, brush that away. And I want to do a good job for all of you, so I see that even along the bottom edge of that crosswalk rectangle, I duplicated this. So I'm going to carefully Alt or Option click and brush along the edge. I just want to make this look a little more random. Okay. So we zoom out. There's our before, there's our after. Before, after. I'm honestly a little happier with the first sample I did. So let's do our before, after, like that. That is using the Clone Stamp tool in Photoshop. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.